session to order. We have no reportable action from closed session this evening, so we will move directly into the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if we could get a roll call, please.
Okay, Councilmember Lohman?
Here.
And Councilmember Ackerman is not here. Councilmember Fichula?
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Present.
Okay, and Mayor Burse?
Present. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
So moved.
Right, roll call, please.
Second.
Councilmember Fichula?
Aye.
Councilmember Lohman?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Aye.
And Mayor Burse?
Aye. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to the consent calendar. Matters on the consent calendar are routine in nature and can be approved by one blanket motion with council vote. No discussion on these items ensues unless specific items are pulled for discussion by separate action. If you wish to have an item pulled from the consent agenda for discussion, please notify me now. Do I have any?
3A.
Okay, item 3A. Do I have any other items anyone would like to pull?
3D.
3B? Okay.
D is in dog.
3D as in dog, got it. Okay. Would any member of the public like to pull any items? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of items 3A and 3D?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Lohman?
Aye.
Councilmember Fichula?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Aye.
And Mayor Burse?
Aye. All right, we will move into item 3A.
3A, I had a couple of questions on there. If I look at page 4 and 5, look at page 5 in particular. Fund 367, which is a planning grant, it says second round of reimbursement. Requests were submitted. Does that mean the first round didn't go through? What does that mean? You have to speak to the microphone.
Marguerite, can you hand Lori the, thank you.
It just means the second request. We do it quarterly.
So the first round was okay?
Yeah, we
Okay,
receive
right.
payment.
And then the other question I had is some of these say expected reimbursement on a certain date, and some of them have it was submitted, but there's no expected date. Can we on the next one of these, if we put a date in there when we submit something, put in when we expect to see the funds from that?
We can
do
try.
that. We can certainly try, but as some of these funding sources, we're at the whim of when they get around to it.
I know.
We do, as staff, we do track, make sure that we do get the reimbursements, and if we don't receive notification back, we do solicit feedback.
Yep. Okay, that's all I had on that item.
Okay, could I get a, well, actually, do we have any public comment on item 3A? Right, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve item 3A?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Fichula?
Aye.
Councilmember Lohman?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Aye.
And Mayor Burse?
Aye. All right, we'll move to item 3D. Marnie? Marnie, did you have questions on item 3D?
Yeah, I was talking. I didn't unmute myself. I apologize, Mayor. I thought that this was something else that I wanted to look a little bit more fine-tuned into, but it is not. So I just ask for a motion to approve this item.
Okay, do I have any public comment? Seeing none, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All right, roll call.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Aye.
And Councilmember Lohman?
Aye.
Councilmember Fichula?
Aye.
And Mayor Burse?
Aye. All right, moving to item 4, agency reports. We'll start with Placer County Sheriff's Department.
Good evening, everyone. Deputy Jenkins here, one of the local assigned deputy sheriffs. I'm standing in for Sergeant Griffiths. He couldn't be here tonight. He's on training. So nothing really new to report. The statistics were given at last week's meeting. So anticipate the new statistics out at the next meeting. Probably more just a public safety announcement I would give to the members of the public. With rising gas prices and everything like that, there was a short period of time in town where we were seeing a rise in gas thefts, and I fear that those are going to come back again. So be mindful of where you park your vehicles. If you have cameras set up, if your neighbors have cameras, maybe start a neighborhood network or something like that. Any information that we have to help look into these things, because just in and of itself, a drilling of a gas tank is extremely difficult to investigate without anything else. So just be mindful, protect yourself. That's about all I have. Another thing, maybe with the new weather coming on, Stevens Trail parking lot, I know that gets full and you get window break-ins and things of that nature. So try not to leave valuables in vehicles. If you're leaving your vehicles unattended for any period of time, go to the lake or anything like that. Just be mindful. Don't leave valuables from the plane. It seems to encourage people to relax. I think that's all I have, unless the council has any questions for me.
I just wanted to tag on about the gas prices. I did see CHP put out a message about the rising trend of people not filling their gas tanks and running out of gas on the side of the freeway. From a public safety perspective, that is super dangerous. Please don't do that. I know it's expensive, but if you're going to go a long distance, please make sure you have adequate fuel. I really would hate for anybody to get hit. Thank you. All right, do we have CHP this evening? No? All right, Placer County Fire Department, CAL FIRE.
Madam Mayor, City Council, City Manager Jeff Loveless, CAL FIRE, Placer County Fire Department. I wanted to start out with some statistics. These aren't for scare tactics necessarily. It's more of just an understanding or education for the public on kind of the fuel and where we're at as we come into fire season. So in 2021, with wildland fires, we started with at this period, so from January 1st to today, so March 20th. We started with 21 wildland fires last season in this unit. To date, we're at 57. For structure fires, we were at 80 last year and 81 this year, so those are about the same. For medical aids, a little over 5,500 last year. This year, we're at 6,100. And then overall calls, just in general, we're up about 800 in comparison to last year. So we are busier, a lot of which is the wildland. We do some of these markings and some of the fuel modeling by what's called a ERC, and it's energy release component. They take fuel moistures from different locations and then kind of compare it overall to where we were at previous years and many years before that. So to give you a little bit of an understanding, we are right on that cusp of being the max that we've ever been. So that's just kind of an understanding of where we are. We did get a little bit of a down for last week and a couple of weeks ago with some of that moisture, but still we are in that significant range as it approaches fire season. So when I go into closing, I'll kind of close with some of that understanding for the public itself. To combat some of those things, we are continuing with the North Fork fuel break. We ended up yesterday doing an understory burn of 13.6 acres. And as you guys know, that's a huge drainage that it kind of minimizes that risk to the city of Colfax. And that was kind of the same parcels that's been the previous weeks. So for 12 acres previous, so now we're at 13. So we're at 25.6 acres on that area. So that's by the wastewater treatment. We did have crews, plastic crews with CAL FIRE that assisted the city of Colfax with some of the chipping for the storm. And that was last week. That helped out significantly for that. And that was working with Public Works. We do have scheduled CPR training for some of the staff. I'm not sure who's in that group. But to assist with that, that's going to be April 12th. So you can pass that around for your folks who probably sneaking into that class. We do have a Placer Sierra Fire Safety Council meeting tomorrow at 5:30. That will be here tomorrow evening. And then just with the safety message, kind of bringing it all back around with some of those fuels again where we're at. We had a lot of down fuels from the snow, but now obviously we're in that kind of turn where a lot of these are a threat to increase in size and going from the pile or burning some things on the property. So some of the things I would like to say to the public would just be understanding and being smart with the fire that you do set in those piles or how you're doing it to mitigate some of that brush. But understand that where the fuels are now, it has a increased tendency to want to escape. And some of the ones that we've had recently were people that have lived in this area for 20 plus years. So it's more of just an understanding of that. And then the last thing with Stevens Trail, we're starting to get folks hiking down there to enjoy the beautiful outdoors. I would just like to suggest bringing adequate amount of water and preparation for some of those things as you go down the 4 miles. They're still going back up. So that's it. Unless there's any questions.
Do you have any questions from council? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chamber of Commerce.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, and also I'm very happy to see Sean's twin brother showing up today. Kind of surprised me. Glad to be back. Great to see you back. So with the Chamber of Commerce, we have our luncheon is one of our big events coming up, and that's on Wednesday, March 30th. And 11:30 to 1:30. That will be at TJ's. I did pass out flyers and also menus for the city council members. And we do also have the flyers and menus at the chamber office. So we would appreciate anybody who planned to attend to fill those out. That would be great to get those back into us. One other thing that we do have going and is in the mix is our Discover Colfax directory. We are working with the Auburn Gold Country Media on that, and that will be coming out shortly. We were hoping to have it for our luncheon, but as you realize, some things take time to get put together. Our visitor center, once again, so everybody does know, it's up and running. We have new products that are in there, new items, and we are open from 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock. And that is on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And also so much more information there on our business. So we would ask everybody to, they have the time, swing on by. Our first mixer for the year is going to be April 14th. It's at the Key Salon, which used to be L'Orange, and Brittany is now the new owner there. And that's going to be 5:30 to 7:30. Coffee and Conversations. Our next one will be April 6th. That's a Wednesday. They start at 8 o'clock in the morning. And just to kind of reiterate what had happened is that we will have our mayor there as our guest speaker. So it should be a real interesting meeting. Everybody is welcome to that. Ribbon cuttings we have going on Saturday, April 9th at 2:30. Created by You for Us, which is a small business right down at the end of Main Street here on Depot Street. And then our next one is going to be with Ambrose Body Shop right next door. That's Wednesday, April 20th at 2:30. And I would like to introduce Bob Morales. He's one of our directors, and Bob is in charge of our ribbon cuttings, and he stepped up to start doing quite a few more things for our chamber. So Bob, we're really thankful for that. And with that, Bob's also the basketball coach, and he did just come to the baseball game. So thanks to you, it's all good. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, up next is the Green Machine.
I'm Andrea Harrison, the president of Colfax Green Machine. This is Melissa, she's my event coordinator. We are here to announce that we will no longer be organizing the 3rd of July event here in Colfax. We're going to start focusing on our groups and refocusing on building our groups that are part of our organization. So doing community events is no longer our priority. We're just shifting that focus onto our groups. We are really sad to see that happen, but with between that and then the availability of funds and with the rising costs of everything, it's just not feasible for us to be able to host it. But we do appreciate all the support we've got. We appreciate working with the Sheriff's Department, CAL FIRE, the city. We've had nothing but great working relationships, and we really appreciate it. So hopefully maybe another group or another organization will take it on.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate all that the Green Machine has done over the years, especially with 3rd of July and helping the Chamber with Winterfest. And it can't be understated how much work we know that your team has poured into this. And we're very, very sad to hear this. I know I speak for everybody in the room, but I do hope another group will step up, because the Green Machine can't be carrying all the weight for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thing that Trinity said, thank you guys so much for everything you've done and taking on all these events. I mean, you guys have done an amazing job. It's going to be really hard to get you replaced. I don't know how we're going to do it.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any other nonprofits here tonight that would like to give an update? Okay. All right, we will go ahead and move to item 5. We have a presentation tonight. No, it says I'm going to kick off the presentation, but can I pass it to you first, Wes, and then back to me?
Madam Mayor, we have a proclamation tonight in recognition of Tony. Hello, is that correct? And for as a football coach career at the Lincoln High School, from what I understand, you've got numerous years and success in doing so. And as council directed staff, we brought forward this proclamation to honor you in your service for this community and for the youth. That Trinity will meet you up front and read the proclamation to you, and we'll take some pictures.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and steal a microphone from you, Marguerite. Thank you. This feels uncomfortable. All right, so proclamation. Whereas in 1982, yes, perfect. Tony Martello graduated from Colfax High School as an all-league football player and captain, and started his coaching career in the 1980s as a walk-on JV coach. And in 1996, after graduating from the University of Nevada, whereas he also coached as a student assistant, Tony obtained his teaching credential and was hired by Colfax High's varsity coach. And whereas Tony remarkably coached the Falcons to 230 career victories, 37 playoff victories, 24 winning seasons, 23 playoff appearances, 20 all-time versus Bear River 28-8, 16 league championships, 12 Cal High Sports State top 10, 10 CIF section finalists, 4 CIF San Joaquin section championships, 1 CIF State Bowl finalist, 2018. And whereas in 2018, Tony was introduced to the Northern California Old Timers Association Hall of Fame. He is currently nominated on the coaches list for upcoming CIF San Joaquin Hall of Fame. And whereas with great pride, Tony coached his son, I don't want to mispronounce your son's name,
Giuliano,
in an all-league receiver and running back who set a school record for yards per carry his senior year. And whereas his legacy includes mentoring former players who are now coaches themselves at schools such as UNLV, 12 Bridges, UC Davis, and Colfax. And whereas with 26 dedicated years of coaching at an elite level and molding the youth in this community, Tony announced his coaching retirement. Now, therefore, the City of Colfax Council do hereby recognize and congratulate with great gratitude Coach Tony Martello. Thank you. So much. copy with all council signatures.
Madam Mayor, may I suggest that the other person that's done a lot of sacrifice, I assume this is your wife up back here, right?
Yes.
Come on up and take pictures as well.
Please. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Burris,
Yes.
I just want to let Tony know that I'm sorry that I'm not there. I would have loved to be in that picture. I want to let everybody in the council know that if it was not
Marnie, we lost your audio. Is Marnie on mute? Are you able to unmute her?
Marty, can you please unmute your phone?
is my phone is unmuted,
There-
isn't it?
No, you're good now. We can hear you now.
Did you not hear anything I just said?
No, the last part we heard was if it wasn't for Tony.
Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. If it wasn't for Coach Martello, my son, Tommy Mendoza, would never have been recruited up from Lincoln Zebras, and I would not be doing what I'm doing today for Colfax. So I just want to tell him thank you. I adore you. Thank you for everything that you've done for Colfax high school students. You run a good program. For a rivalry football player to come up here and those boys embraced him the way that they did. Just thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate you.
Wonderful. Do we have any other public comment? Checking online real quick. This subject. Yeah.
You have clapping hands,
Wonderful.
the emoji.
Well, thank you so much. All right, we do not have any public hearings this evening. We will go ahead and move into public comment. So at this time, the members of the public are allowed to address the council on any matters that are not on the agenda. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and if you are attending online, we do ask that you put the words public comment in front of your comment if you would like it to be read. Do we have any public comment at this time? Come on up, Tim.
Hello, and thank you, staff and council. Just wanted to explain something about nonprofits real quick, since it was up there. It's part of the thing. So nonprofit in the cannabis industry can have revenue up to 2.5 million. It's not gross receipts. It would take about $10 million in gross receipts to get to that level of 2.5 revenue for operating cannabis business. Those same nonprofits that are operating as associations underneath the agricultural model, not the DCC license model. It's a different model. It's a collective cooperative agricultural model. They're back in September 21st. Gavin Newsom wrote an executive order allowing those businesses, cannabis businesses in specific, to change their articles of incorporation to a for-profit. And just recently, the latest drafted regulations that we're commenting on right now are allowing these nonprofits to change their designation from a medical to adult use with a $500 fee to the DCC, and just by informing them. So that's what's on the table right now. The only nonprofits that can't do that are ones that are attached to a cultivation. But stepping in on that level is a senator that is pushing for a bill that will allow unlimited amount of medical dispensaries in any town without the population to consider. So there's lots of things that are always changing, and that one right now is specific to this city because this city and its ordinance still allows for those collectives to operate. Because that never went away. It's under the associations and allows them to grow up to 4 acres. And a licensed cannabis cultivator can't even grow that being licensed with the state. So this is a agricultural, it's not the health and safety, it's an association thing that's been allowed through California Department of Food and Agriculture. That it's a 1 and 2 type license and allow them to cultivate, form associations with 3 individuals and produce for patients at the time medicinal cannabis. So that license is also changing to where they can put their stuff in the metric, which is the track and trace for cannabis sales. So they now have all their items, cannabis in metric for sale on the adult use. And lastly but not least, this is a gummy that you can buy at any smoke shop. 100 milligrams of Delta 9 THC, sold in every city in California. 100 milligrams. Just trying to get a fair playing field.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for bringing that to our attention so we can address that. We'll follow up. Let's see here. Are we having microphone issues? All right, if we have additional public comment, let's try to be very conscientious of the microphone so everyone online can hear. Do we have any additional public comment in the room at this time? Seeing none, do we have any online?
We do have a public comment online from Jane. It states, public comment, I tried to listen, but the poor sounds make comments difficult to hear. Often I leave the meeting frustrated. The podium mic is hardest to understand. Have others had this issue with Zoom or Facebook? Has it been addressed? This is each meeting.
Okay, so that's good to know. All right, if we do have anyone else come up to the podium tonight, maybe we can actually pass them that microphone if that's going to be a little bit better to use. If we have no more public comment at this time, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And we will move to item 8, council and staff business. Committee reports. We'll go ahead and start with you, Sean.
LAFCO had their budget committee meeting today. There was no reportable action from that. And tomorrow night is the Fire Safe Council meeting here at City Hall. It's at 6 p.m. It's also going to have a Zoom link available. You can get to that from the Placer County website and the RCD link. That's all that.
Okay. Joe.
Now that Sean's back, we're going to go finish the ordinance we were working on.
Okay.
So that'll come up in the next week or so.
Perfect. Do you have anything else?
That's it.
All right, Marnie? Marnie, do you have anything to report tonight? I think you might be on mute. Okay, maybe we'll circle back to Marnie once she's able to come off mute. As far as my boards are concerned, I don't have anything immediately reportable of interest to Colfax this evening from my committees. Let's see here. I did have in my notes, though, that we are holding several of the pre-meetings for the Cap to Cap trip, which I am registered to attend. So I'll be attending on the air quality and fire mitigation teams. So if we have anything that we would like to make sure that we get included as far as air quality, transportation, or wildfire, now would be a good time to start getting comments to me so that I can make sure those are included when we get into those meetings. And just to add a level of clarity, I'm not being sponsored by the city. I'm being sponsored by the Air Pollution Control District. So this isn't costing Colfax any money. But it is a good opportunity for us to make sure that our voice is heard. Marnie, were we able to get you off mute?
I think so. I don't know what keeps happening to my microphone.
We can hear you now.
Great. Mayor, I don't have anything to report. The homeless, situation is, we wrote a letter, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will pass it to you, Wes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's one item I want to provide an update to the council and public tonight. It's on the Caltrans Sustainable Downtown Grant.
Mhm.
Staff has received the RFP, the request for proposals draft. We have shared that information with the chamber. The chamber is designating some representatives to be a part of that process. Representatives at this time will be city staff, myself, the planner, city engineer, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Civic Well, who is the consultant that we hired the services. The goal is to have the RFP released by the end of this month, with a selection of the planning consultant by the middle of April. And from there, we'll begin some of the outreach process after we review some of the initial data gathering, traffic flows, study stuff. That's all going to happen so we can have an engaged conversation with council and the public as we move through this process. I'm hoping by June that we'll actually be engaging the public for this process. And for those of you who don't remember what this is the redesign potentially of the traffic lanes in the downtown area that include Railroad Street, North Main, South Main areas to make it more pedestrian, user-friendly in the downtown area.
Okay.
That's all I have tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that being said, we will go ahead and move into item 9. Council business. We have item 9A, California Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. So back to you, Wes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a grant opportunity we came across. We've had success in the past with Cal OES. I think we're aware during the PSPS events, we were able to solicit funding for backup power generation for our sewer stations. We received $300,000, and in fact, the first 2 units are finally being installed in the sewer stations. That was a no match grant on that part, but this is, however, different. This is the projects associated with the grant here for the hazardous mitigation grant. 2 opportunities. One is to mitigate, and second is to alleviate some of the impacts when we have emergencies. Staff is proposing that we submit 2 applications. The first, an $800,000 application to consider putting backup power generation on City Hall, the Sheriff's Substation, and the Sierra Vista Community Center as kind of an emergency evacuation center for that process. The second application staff is suggesting we do is a home hardening application. And with that one, that is a $6 million grant that will include 3 aspects to it. First is outreach. The second is home inspection. And the third component at this point is we're proposing a grant program that will both harden the homes and also deal with some of the vegetation around the homes at the same time.
This is fire hardening.
Yes.
Fire hardening.
Yeah, fire hardening. Yeah.
So the grant is what staff is proposing that be $40,000. The catch with all this is a 25% match grant. So without any in-kind kind of contributions that the staff is going to be seeking, this would be a $1.7 million cost to the city. That would come from some of the general fund reserves that we have in this process. We believe in partnering with CAL FIRE. Our local RCD will be able to reduce some of that match cost locally. In fact, after this meeting tonight, not to put Brian on the spot, we're actually going to be talking about a potential CAL FIRE grant, possibly to help with some of that match stuff. I wish I had more detail in that in this possibility, but unfortunately, we have to have this application submitted by April 8th. So what staff is looking for tonight from council is guidance as to what we're proposing, whether you want to move forward with that, modify some of what staff is suggesting, just give us directions.
So I have some questions, some of them theoretical. Assuming that this goes through tonight as it is proposed by staff, we move forward. Let's say everything we asked for is approved. How much money will be available to the citizens of Colfax for the home hardening grant?
The majority of the funding will be for the home hardening. There will be some costs associated with the literature and the administration of the grant. So a lion's share, over $4 million of it will be. We anticipated only about 25% of the homes will actually participate in this program.
Right.
On there, so that's kind of where we're at. And the reality of it is, I should have mentioned earlier, is the majority of homes in Colfax were built prior to the WUI standards for fire safety. So
yeah,
this is our number one threat to the community. If this is fire structure to structure in here. I know Sean can attest to that. This time here, Cal Fire as well too. That's our number one threat. We've received great feedback from the consultant from Cal OES at this point. They're very helpful. I think they're very excited about our application. In fact, they actually encouraged us to increase from what we originally were to do. Because for $40,000, you can get some meaningful improvements. And not all applicants will need that amount of money, but you got to do both. You got to do vegetation maintenance and the home hardening for fire safety.
So I have a follow-up question to this, because everybody who lives in this town, the condition of your property affects the people living next to you immediately. It doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter if you are Joe Fatula, the council member. It doesn't matter who you are. The property conditions that you have. My question is, when we go to put this out for people to apply, what restrictions will there be, if any? Because I'm at this point firmly of the belief, if we can make this amount of money come into the city with the application rate that we've received, I don't think we should have any restrictions on who could be eligible, as long as you're a property owner within the city limits.
And that's the only catch. There's no income base or anything. This is if you are a property owner, you follow through with the process, which will include some NEPA and CEQA process. You will be qualified for this program.
And so,
wait,
if
just be careful. Is this residential or commercial or both?
It is for residential only.
So this is residential property. So if you have a residential property, you could get a grant of up to $40,000 for your property.
If you live within the
If
city
you live
limits.
within the city limits of Colfax, to harden your home for fire. It's a good time to re-side your home or whatever to help improve your home. They put new vents on, windows, all that kind of stuff that are all the things that help harden the home, right? But the city would have to match 25%. So we have a couple of options of how that could be done. Wes mentioned a number of agencies that we can look at to try to augment some of that 25%. But worst comes to worst, it could be whatever is left of that 25% the homeowner may put in, right?
That's true. On a $40,000 grant, so that would be 10 grand. I mean,
Assuming we got zero from any other agency, right?
I don't know who would not take advantage of that. I mean, we're getting $30,000 for home hardening.
Well,
hopefully.
let's look at our populace though. I mean, I'm going to say it right now. Most of the people who live in our city limits do not have 10 grand to throw down on the table. So I'd like to do what we can to avoid requiring that of people. In a worst case scenario situation, if we need to do it for budget stability, then I think we can talk about it. But
so
let's try to avoid that.
Yeah, this looks really positive because the hopes will be that 10 grand will go down to almost nothing.
Yes.
Right. And if it gets down small enough, the city we may decide as council that we're just going to fund it and stuff.
Right. Because it really, it's an improvement, assuming that people take advantage of this, it goes through, it gets approved. I mean, it's not only is it a huge improvement for fire safety, but for general property appearance. It improves the whole town. It's a great investment. I think it's worthwhile. Let's assume that we have a shift in trend and we get everybody and their mother to apply for this. Everybody applies. Would we do a lottery system to determine who's eligible? Because again, we don't want to do this based on income or anything like that.
That's stuff that we still will need to decide when we actually go out to that process at this point.
Okay.
It could be first come, first serve. It could be a lotto system. But the key thing is after the education and inspections and stuff is we do need to finalize what lots because we do need to go.
And also remember, not every home will cost the same amount to do.
Yeah.
So you might find homes might cost $20,000 to do. Some homes might be already done. And it's like, there's nothing you need to do for it.
Yeah, it might not be anything to apply for.
So I think Wes's estimate of about 25% of the homes should be eligible, have the potential to be there. And that means we could pretty much do all of them.
How many homes do we have in Colfax? We're really put you on the spot.
We have 580 residential units, and of that, we have 550 that were constructed prior to the WUI requirements. And so we based the model of 25% of the homes off the 550.
Yep.
To get, we're at 737, so we anticipate.
Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully that will apply to this.
And if we're successful at this, who knows, we could apply for it again.
That's true. In fact, the RCD and I think even Cal Fire, I mean, this could be the catalyst for a pilot program for
Yeah.
Placer County. And I would like to mention, is if you participate in this, I mean, and you go through the process, you get the improvements, your neighbors benefit.
Yes.
Yep.
Whether they put an application in or not, because now they have some more fire safety.
So I think one of the critical guidance things that I would recommend the staff is we need a good flyer that's sent out to every residential home in Colfax that spells this out in very plain language.
Yeah, and that's the partnership with Cal Fire, hopefully, and the RCD to do all that stuff. I mean, we're definitely going to get the information out there. We're anticipating the cost with managing the grant component of it with the RC is going to be somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 for staff time. We don't have the internal staff to.
Right.
So it's going to be a turnkey.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because of state mandates, like having to do CEQA and some of these other things that are just very expensive to do. But even still, that leaves us with about $40,000 a home.
I think it's an incredible opportunity. Sean, do you have any comments?
A really good opportunity. I mean, every home we can get done just protects the city that much more. Protects the entire city. So it's a great opportunity. We should definitely go for it and make sure we can fund it, even if we had to dip into reserves, because you're going to really, I think you would really eliminate a lot of people from applying if they knew they had to put in a quarter of it or whatever, 10% even, because it's going to be tough for people to scrape together that much money.
And the revenue opportunity for local businesses to perform the work is incredible. Marnie, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I have a comment, and then I have just a shout out to my neighbor for taking care of their area. I can't tell you how much stress I've been under because I didn't have defendable space because I'm a renter. So I want to thank them for taking care of what they needed to take care of. But my question is, what if they needed help? I'm not saying they're going to ask, but if they've already done this work, will we be able to help them, or like pretty much the people that have done what they're supposed to do?
I know which neighbor you're talking about, and I will say they absolutely will be able to get benefit from this. And
okay, perfect.
Speaking to them because they're also my neighbor.
Yeah.
And yes, it's very nerve wracking. They have quite a bit of property.
Yeah.
So to be clear, they could benefit for the future grant. In order to qualify for the funding, they'll have to go through the environmental piece and all that for future improvements that they've done. But the work they've already done.
Yeah, it's already done.
Yeah, just if you can note it, Mayor, that would be great. I just really appreciate that they went and did that, because it's been a lot of years of just, how am I going to do this, Yeah,
no, there's a lot left to be done that they could benefit from. I do see we have public comment. Let's go ahead and shift to public comment for a moment if you wanted to come up to the mic. Or maybe I was wrong. I thought I saw your hand up. Okay. Did we have any online real quick?
We do have one via Zoom. Jane asks, can I request these grants on behalf of my neighbors in order to protect my property?
I think that the neighbor owning the property would have to go through the process, but if, I would say this is one of those times where if you have a neighbor that you've identified that could really benefit from this, if you don't feel comfortable personally talking to them, feel free to let me know, because I would love to go talk to them. So, this, like I said, and like Wes said as well, it benefits everybody. It benefits all of your neighbors if you do this. And, some people aren't super tuned in to what we're doing here in council chambers on a regular basis. And, we can be active on social media. We send out flyers. We do everything we think we can do. And sometimes we still only end up with 3 applicants and 1 person who successfully gets a grant for something. And so I really hope that this process doesn't.
And to complement this program that we're looking at here, remember our vegetation ordinance is in effect.
Yes.
So we have the ability to enforce things if we have people that don't want to clean up their properties.
Yep.
Right.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Lori, did I cover everything appropriately, or is there anything else you want me to mention tonight? It's benefit. That's okay.
No, absolutely.
There are a couple, there are already demonstrated communities that are doing these kind of programs. So we're going to be able to get a lot of ideas from them also. I think it needs to be clear that the people that want to sign up for it, they have to go through a defensible space and a home hardening inspection.
Yep.
That will be the first step that would trigger anything. And then also that the items that the grant funds can be used for, we'll probably come up with a very comprehensive list. And it doesn't mean I can go get a new roof just because I want a new roof or cosmetic things. It'll be very, it'll be very strict guidelines about those things.
Madam Mayor, I don't know if CAL FIRE had comments on this or not. Don't mean to put you on the spot, Brian.
I mean to put you on the spot. Come on up.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I'll just comment a little bit on what Wes was talking about. This is a great opportunity. It is based in FEMA. So it's got a little bit of a trickle down as it gets from the federal government down through state OES, and has to comply obviously with CEQA and NEPA, and then ultimately is applied to the city. I think the challenge that I just want to be very transparent about, that 25% matching, is this has been applied in different areas, and the CAL FIRE grants sometimes have been successful and in other times have not been successful in being able to take up that 25%. And in the case of this particular grant, which is substantial in nature for all the right reasons, but the matching portion is substantial as well. So I think just, as in a good planning type of scenario, we just have to kind of, as you were, Mayor, look at all our different options. We may have an opportunity for some matching funds. There's some great opportunities, I think, for the members of our city to be able to match those individually in their efforts to harden their own homes, and then the city may be able to also contribute to that. So I think it's a great idea and concept, and County Fire and CAL FIRE is certainly here to stand with Wes and the council on the planning, the preparation, and I think we have some opportunities to offer some of the implementation and resources to help with this. So if there's any questions,
You mentioned 2 terms just for the public. Could you define what CEQA and NEPA is?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so CEQA is the California Environmental Quality Act, I believe, and NEPA is the National Environmental Protection Act. National Environmental Policy Act.
And roughly what do they mean?
Council, if you want to be correct.
Roughly.
Thank you, Vic.
Roughly, what do they mean to a home?
So what that means, and I appreciate the question. So CEQA and NEPA are roughly the same thing, but NEPA is a federal mandate, CEQA is a state mandate. And what it does, they are required by state and federal law for a series of environmental clearances before you can do any work on the land or on an existing structure. And it can be cumbersome at times. But that's one of the places where I think, CAL FIRE as an agency, having professionals on staff that can mitigate the CEQA process, where we can offer some assistance to the city to help out with that. the NEPA process is strictly federal, and so we wouldn't have any, we wouldn't really be able to touch that. Yeah, great question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So I do have one more question for you, Wes. Assuming what happened in the past happens again, where we don't get enough applicants or not enough people qualify, so on and so forth, what happens to the funds that are approved that go unused?
I believe the answer would be we would need to return those funding that was unused. We're going to do an excellent job in outreaching. I mean, there's hardly any restrictions for this funding. That's some of the issues we've had in the past is income based. You had to validate, verify. A lot of people were not comfortable with that process. We went through an exorbitant amount of effort to try to qualify people. Yeah, it didn't work. Again, this one has no, other than being the property owner in general, there's no restrictions. Except for you have to be in the city limits.
Yeah.
Make sure that everybody's
That's
clear
the
on
hardest
that.
part, which is always a hard pill to swallow. So that being said, with our match, is that not due until which point we've basically finalized our numbers, or are we putting up those funds before we're receiving money?
I believe the match would be as we're kind of going through the process. I'm not sure exactly when the triggers would be to contribute it to the process. We have to define that.
Okay.
Just for the benefit of tonight, I just know staff just needs to be able to know that we can come up with the match however we can. But right now, as we understand it, it would be from the general fund reserves.
Yep.
And which what they're collected for is to improve the quality of life of the citizens of the city.
And I'm comfortable, and council, I want to hear your opinion as well. I'm comfortable going with the conservative approach and assuming that we will be putting up these funds immediately to receive any money and then working backwards from there. I'd rather go with that approach than expect we can hand the money over later than, you know, hope for the best. Council?
I agree. I think make the decision to put up the reserve funds to cover the grant so that we can move forward with it, and here we go.
Yeah, I agree also, but I think we got to make sure that that doesn't mean we lose any focus on getting that 25% covered through whatever means we can.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think staff's got a great track record for trying to chase down grants at this point. I mean, I think put a little plug in, we've got over $11 million worth of grants and projects going right now. And this is an additional 6.8 million that we're putting into it, minus the 1.7 of match in there. But yes, staff will aggressively. In kind, some of the, as Brian was mentioning, the CEQA and their staff doing it, that qualifies for the income.
Yep.
It's their time, and that's part of the contract that we currently already have.
Yep.
So we'll get creative, find ways to reduce that number.
Yep.
All right, well, at this point, if I don't have any public comment, all right.
Thank you. Tim Ryan, 300 South Main Street. So I'm wondering if you are a renter, is the renter, would they have to get in touch with the owner of the property?
Yes.
And then also do we have a system to be able to get to the owners of the property?
Sewer bill. It has to go to the owner.
Has to go to the owner.
Has to go to the owner. The only exception to that would be anyone who's on a septic system, but I think that that's a very small proportion, and those people generally live in their homes.
Yeah.
So.
Great, thank you.
Right. So do you have the
Question?
guidance you need?
Sorry.
Do you have the guidance that you need?
I just want to say that I agree with you guys. I haven't chimed in yet, so just want to say, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I just want to say that I agree with the direction that the mayor's saying that we should go in. And I just sitting back here, just thinking about how much progress we've made, and Wes, how hard you've worked, you know, through all these storms. And I wish I never would have picked public safety as my #1 platform, but I'm just sitting here just thinking about how grateful I am for each one of you and just all the staff. Thank you guys for everything that you do day in and day out. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. So I guess what staff is looking, I mean, the recommendation is, to be able to apply for the 2 grants. And the total amount of $6.85 million in there, understanding that there's a 25% match at this time would be potentially out of the general fund. That's the direction that we're looking for.
So are you looking for a motion or direction?
Yes, so I'll go ahead and move approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Burris,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Okay, Councilmember Loman
Aye.
and Councilmember Frachilla.
Aye.
All right, that passes. We move on to item 10, good of the order. Sean, do you have anything for good of the order this evening?
No, nothing good in the order. Not except for it's good to be back with everybody.
It's great to have you back. Joe, do you have anything for good of the order? Okay, Marnie? Good of the order?
No, don't have anything. Sean, great to have you back. Wish I was there.
Thank you again, Coach Martello.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Tony.
I do not have anything for good of the order, so we will go ahead and adjourn.